Engagement, a lever for student growth. Do any of these pictures or scenes look familiar to you? Do you see these types of interactions in your classrooms and schools? I certainly hope so. These are the types of things that should be seen in every classroom, every school across the world, because these are engaged students. They are focused on learning, collaboration, and growth. When students are engaged in the learning process, they are more likely to pay attention, focus, think critically, and actively participate in the learning environment and benefit from it. In fact, they embrace and flourish in it. Students who are engaged are more likely to be caught into a cycle, a favorable cycle of engagement, where one behavior of promise feeds directly into another. The cycle of engagement illustrates the behaviors or events that occur, facilitating a student's immersion into school and learning. Students can enter the cycle at any point, but let's illustrate this phenomenon starting at Make Connections. Students make connections between real life and between content areas on a similar topic. Either those connections are explicitly explained to them or they've independently figured them out. Regardless, because they now have a connection to their learning in a personal way, they see its value and usefulness. Being hooked to it in a topic in this way causes them their interest to grow and bloom. Then these feelings are reflected in their body language. They sit up straighter, they keep their eyes on the speaker and on the materials. They participate, asking questions and answering them. As a result, they receive praise from the teacher and amicability from their peers. Not surprisingly, those things lead to increased learning and growth, in addition to higher performance and grades. And then because these students feel so encouraged, empowered, and eager by everything they've experienced already in the cycle of engagement, they are more likely to have the motivation to make connections, realize value, and show interest in the future. It's a beautiful cycle. So again, students can enter the cycle at any time. The previous example talked about students entering at the Make Connections spot. But perhaps a student enters at interest. They have deep interest in a topic. That immediately facilitates usefulness and value. They're interested in it, they see value in learning it, they want to learn it, and that those feelings are reflected in their body language. Now these students are immersed in the cycle of engagement. To look at another example, perhaps a student has an awesome day behaviorally for whatever reason, but they receive praise and accolades from their good choices. Teachers recognize them. Students might recognize them as well. Well, this causes them to make a connection between the behavior and the reward. Now they've made a connection, causing usefulness and value to surface, followed by interest and a change in body language. There's an interconnectedness here that bounces around the cycle randomly. There is no definite start or end, and there is no defined sequence of events. It's interconnected because what we know is that each characteristic or behavior contributes to another. This graphic is an addition to the cycle of engagement illustration. This shows the interconnected nature of the behaviors and the events of an engaged student. There are things that teachers and administrators can do to promote student captivation. 12 things great teachers do to engage students is a graphic that summarizes the do's and don'ts for creating safe atmospheres where students feel treasured, intrigued, and supported. These are the keys to student engagement. On the top row, you see praise, feedback, patience, and approachability. Praise, definitely keeping a 1-to-5 ratio so that praise outweighs any correction or negative feedback. Sandwiching feedback between praise and areas for growth. Having patience, working with students, and being approachable, having that welcoming, friendly attitude where students want to come talk to you. These are all some of the things that can be done to engage students. The middle row goes into a few more. Empathy being one. Show compassion. Oh my goodness. Even if as adults we think that the problems weighing on a child are irrelevant or unimportant, that doesn't matter because it's important to them. We must remember that everything occurring in their lives is important to them, and we need to show empathy towards it. Encouraging communication, giving help, and making sure there's balance are other things that teachers can do to engage students. Build a safe and respectful environment where there is open and honest dialogue. We certainly don't want to interrupt the sanctity of the classroom, but communication is essential. And providing that help to students when they need it, giving them faith, knowing that there's someone there to help them, who will encourage them to take risks and will support them in doing so. We don't want to give answers too quickly. Don't rob students of learning opportunities by giving them the answers. Give them help, but not the answers. Then, of course, balance. Keeping that balance between rest and work during the school day, but also that balance of curriculum and student interest. Maintaining these areas of balance help to keep students engaged. On the last row, we see transparency, positivity, mentorship, and flexibility. These are 4 more great things teachers do to engage students. Be transparent. Talk with them about decision making. We certainly don't want to compromise confidentiality, but we can have grace under scrutiny. Having a positive attitude is essential as well. That helps to build the encouraging and safe environment in the classroom where students will have open dialogue, communication, and embrace assistance. Mentorship. Being there to support them, not only academically and cognitively, but also emotionally. Helping them to learn how to think, not teaching them what to think. And then, of course, flexibility. Modify, adapt, and overcome. Being eternally flexible to meet student needs, whether those are academic, cognitive needs, or whether those are social, emotional needs. But that we are flexible to adjust their needs every day and let them know that they are important. So 12 things great teachers can do to engage students. A great guideline for us to use as we consider our learning environments and the engagement we have within them. So reflect on these pictures of engaged students one more time. It's inspiring and it's heartwarming. They're smiling, they're engaged, they're talking with each other, they're showing interest in learning, and they're just immersed in the learning process. These are inspiring and heartwarming. These students have teachers who are implementing some or all of the 12 great things teachers do to engage students. Identifying that engagement is a strength in a classroom or a school is of great value. Identify it, define it, and replicate it. Because if what is seen in the opposite of this, then there is disengagement. We cannot tolerate disengagement. We must build environments where students want to be engaged, where they're motivated, intrigued, nurtured, and embraced. That 12 great things that teachers do to engage students should be a component of strategic planning or improvement planning. Taking explicit and intentional steps toward creating a nurturing learning environment that maximizes student engagement is essential to ensuring continual student growth. So if you've got it, replicate it. If you don't have it, let's work towards it, strategically plan to improve it. In closing, I'd like to share a few inspirational quotes, starting with Benjamin Franklin. Tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn. Involvement, that is engagement. Benjamin Franklin centuries ago knew that engagement was pivotal to the learning process. We have another quote here about engagement, but it's more on the emotional side. They may forget what you said, but they will not forget how you made them feel. When we have high student engagement in the classroom, it means there's a safe environment and there's strong relationships. That's how we hook kids, and that's how we keep their attention. We make them feel good when they're there. Make them feel encouraged, empowered, and capable. they will remember those feelings, and those feelings will only put them further into the cycle of engagement and contribute to long-term learning and growth. The last two quotes I want to share come up together. Two people that are notable scholars, well-known, notable, time-tested scholars, centuries apart, but they talked about the same thing. Education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire. And the mind is not a vessel to be filled, but a fire to be ignited. Both of these great individuals referred to education as lighting a fire. And that is what we need to do with student engagement. Use it as our tool for igniting fires in the minds of every student. All of the things on that list of 12 things great teachers do, these are all different ways in which we can kindle this fire and cause it to thrive. Let us light fires with 100% student engagement. If you are interested in the opposite side of the coin, the disengagement, I do have both videos and blogs out that include the 12 red flags for disengaged students, and it talks about the cycle of disengagement and how we can break that, because we've got to be better for our kids. We owe them excellent learning environments where they are engaged and where they are nurtured and built to grow. Join me in creating 100% student engagement in all learning environments.